as Zhu Wangzhang was formerly acclaimed, began airing on ABC. Now here we have birthday. Xander from Cheap Trick is 65. Princess Caroline of Monaco is 61. Singer Anita Baker and singer-actress Rachel Crow is 20.
To know, singing Valentine are available. 2 include a serenade, red rose, and stay card. Prices are $10 to $40. You are call 11 for more information. Lip sync
today. A recent question was about Christian radio stations in the area. I have something to share from AA in Fayetteville. Livewire responded to a question earlier. The Media Foundation bought Christian 107.3 from the
$1,750. Break-in, Longhorn Drive. You have to be careful at all times.
Okay, here's an article about school days, and it's entitled "No More School Makeup Days for Now." Officials decided Monday not to schedule any more makeup days
after sending the spending bill to President Donald Trump for his sentence were brought to the country as children and now are here illegally. Supported it. 60 votes were needed to end the Democrats' filibuster and sent the measure on to President Donald Trump. White House press, 10 incumbent Democrats facing re-election this year, won by Trump in 2016. Tester said in a statement, the 17-day budget did not include any funding for community health incomes. It also includes $31 billion in tax cuts. The White House weekend debate. On Monday, he accused Democrats of prioritizing.
Investigators are looking for a newer model Ford Mustang. The car would have to conduct a check on a man living on Pine Tree Lane off Spies Road, about 3.5 miles east of Robbins, about 2 p.m. The man, who has not yet been identified, began shooting at the officer, who in this one, a Fayetteville man, was killed Saturday facing traffic that is approaching from the opposite direction.
The title of the 70-year-old Smith's lecture was "The Man Who Won a Battle," and did you have speakers, Winslow said. At this point, he noted about $27 million in funding has been raised. Fayetteville governments have done. We had a really good end of the year, Winslow said, of fundraising efforts. Breaking ground for the first phase, he said, is expected sometimes in the spring. We're getting ready so that in 24 months we'll be ready to build the main building, Winslow said. The plans for a 2-story, 65,000 square foot center were announced in March 2014, including a $500,000 Kickstarter grant from the Cumberland Community Foundation. Winslow has heard talk that the center is doomed and that it will never be built. There are critics who say enough about the Civil War and the troubling issue of slavery that it raises. Along with that, the center could be a hard sell for many in the African American community. As its new name indicates, the center will incorporate the story of the nation's Reconstruction era into its agenda. Like the war between the states, plans call for that period to be examined from the various perspectives of those who lived through it. We always, from the beginning, planned to talk about Reconstruction, Winslow said. This is an acknowledgement of that. We talked about calling it the Civil War and Reconstruction.
Should do station identification. Do you have it over there?
Yes.
Ooh,
Yes.
okay. The furloughs. It looks a bit lengthy, so if I can chop some bits out, I will. Services across Fort Bragg were reduced during the short-lived shutdown, but leaders raised short-term funding fixes, which have become the norm in recent years, reported to work to learn whether or not they would be furloughed during the shutdown. Well, everybody furloughed, and even if you were mission essential, which is what my husband is, he would that meant he, but that didn't mean he'd get paid, so it sounds rather misleading. 600 paratroopers were scheduled to jump as part of the monthly Saturday. Officials are still evaluating the broader impacts to readiness went into effect. The exercise, which began on Friday, involved 2,600 local soldiers and hundreds of military vehicles. Command. A spokesman said civilians involved in training soldiers continued to work during the shutdown. That includes civilians assigned to the John F. Kennedy Special Center and School, which trains special forces, civil affairs.
I was against it, Chris said, but I was directed by council to work on an agreement. Debbie Liebers, an opponent of the rezoning, said she was not surprised by the decision. She organized a petition against rezoning of the property with the decision, as the land surrounding the lot is increasingly. Many of the residents in the area do not have water and sewer services after being annexed, along with 40,000 other people in the Big Bang annexation in 2005. Charleston said he was happy the city.
Adams said it is possible the town could hold a ribbon-cutting ceremony early next week. It would take 3 weeks to refill the lake, Adams said, and she wasn't sure when water could start to be impounded. But town attorney Dan Herzog said that would be inappropriate since
was a clue that the burglars planned to come back, Thompson said. So Skinner, a Navy veteran, and George, a retired Army Staff Sergeant, made it appear that he waited outside, while Spell went inside. Thompson said, and Spell pleaded guilty in December to second-degree murder for the slayings and breaking and entering in an unrelated break-in. He is serving at least 20 years, 8 months, up to 26 years, 7 months. Robinson, 36, was sentenced on January 11th for the murders as he previously pleaded guilty, Thompson said. He is serving a minimum of 22 years, 6 months, and up to 28 years.
Okay, here is Myron Pitt's column today. Last fall, a person or persons put KKK flyers on cars in the parking lot at Grays Creek High School football game. Not a good crowd. Sean Swain, spokesman for the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office, says both incidents were reported. They were from the Loyal White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan based in Caswell. They distribute the flyers nationally, Lentz says, from Arizona to Maine, in front of struggling for members, and the oldest domestic terrorist organization is a shell now. He says the Klan, infamous for concealing members' identity in white robes, has lost ground to the so-called alt-right movement, which has racists marching in plain view, names and faces out there. Lentz says actions such as
Lumberton, 5:30 p.m. Coates United Methodist Church, 288 East South Street, 6 p.m. Raleigh Road Presbyterian Church, 208 South Raleigh Road, 6 p.m. College Lakes Recreation Center, 4945 Rose Hill Road, 6:30 p.m. Dominion Church, 1874 Cedar Creek Road, 800-932-8677, or go to tops.org. Alcoholics Anonymous, 7 a.m. to noon, 5:30, 8:11 p.m. 626 Sandalwood Drive, noon, 5:30 to 7 p.m. 604 German Street, noon, 1601 Rayford Road, noon, MT-2357 Quartermasters, Fort Bragg, noon, 6:30 p.m. 401 East 1st Street, Lumberton, 5:30 p.m. Marvin United Methodist Church, 6740 Highway 87 South, 6:30 p.m. Decatur Cafe, 6781 Camden Road, 7:30 p.m. 2704 East Broad Street, Elizabethtown, 8 p.m. 326 Martin Luther King Drive, Maxton, 8 p.m. Trinity United Methodist Church, 6974 Rayford Road, 8 p.m. First Baptist Church, 301 North Main Street, Fairmount, 8 p.m. 122 W 3rd Street, Red Springs, 8 p.m. 705-B Wesley Pines Drive, Lumberton, 8 p.m. Bladen County Hospital, hotlines 678-8733 or 678-8002. Al-Anon, 6:30 p.m. 401 East 1st Street, Lumberton, 7 p.m. 320 Hayes Street, 678-8002. Narcotics Anonymous. To find weekly meeting times and locations, call 866-418-9500 or go to crna.org. Diabetes Management Clinic, 8 a.m. to noon. Better Health of Cumberland County, 1422 Bragg Boulevard, 483-7534. Taking charge of your health, 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Health Pavilion North Cancer Center for cancer patients and their families or caregivers, 615-3849.
It's 11 o'clock, so I don't guess you went, because this probably won't come through, whatever. But go ahead and read it anyway.
This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services.
Just trying to get in.
When making charitable donations, please call the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service. Please keep us in mind.
Yes, please do.
Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
Tina Beatty
and Linda Miller, and we're so proud to serve you today.
And I want to say, you all just got a phone call in. It wasn't a complaint. It was Miss Dorothy Daniels, and she wanted to thank you all for your service.
Well, thank you. How nice to her. So what's her name?
Her name is Dorothy Daniels.
Dorothy Daniels. We thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Yes.
And it's time for the obits. Oh, I guess we should. No, you did station identification. Wake up, Tina. Okay, here are the death notices. These following deaths have been reported, and upcoming editions of the Observer will have more complete information. From Cumberland County, William Howard Korn, Sr., 83 of Fayetteville, Sullivan's Highland Funeral Service and Crematory. U.S. Army Sergeant Jack Edward Stillman, 23 of Fayetteville, Sullivan's Highland Funeral Service and Crematory. And Melvin Ray Moses, 66 of Fayetteville, Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. And Huey F. Bridges, 73 of Fayetteville, Fayetteville Cremation Services. And from the region, Vernon Thornton, 79 of Rayford, Buey Funeral Home, Fred C. Rozier, 66 of Lumberton, Bowles, St. Paul's Funeral Home, and Graham Ray, 85 of Lillington, Dafford Funeral Home in Angier. Okay, on to the obituaries. From Fayetteville, Mr. Lewis R. Gallimore, 76, of Fayetteville, passed away on Friday, January the 19th. A funeral service will be held on Thursday, January the 25th at 10 a.m. at Cliffdale Christian Center. The burial will be held later that day at 3 p.m. in Norman Community Cemetery in Norman, North Carolina. Family visitation will be Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. at Jerningham Warren Funeral Home. In lieu of flowers, memorials may be made to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and Cliffdale Christian Center, Mission Trips, and Gideon's International. From Fayetteville, Margie H. Casper, 86, of Fayetteville, died Thursday, January the 18th. The funeral is on Wednesday at 1 p.m. at Jerningham Warren Chapel. Visitation is at Jerningham Warren on Wednesday from noon to 1 p.m. and burial is going to be in Cumberland Memorial Gardens, and Jerningham Warren Funeral Home is in charge of the arrangements. From Fayetteville, Clayton O. Savaro of Fayetteville died Tuesday, January 16th. Memorial will be held Saturday at 3 p.m. at Jerningham Warren Chapel, and visitation will be at Jerningham Warren Funeral Home following the memorial service on Saturday. Jerningham Warren in charge of arrangements there. And from Fayetteville, our dear sweet Virginia entered into eternity January 20th, 2018. And this is an obituary for Virginia Hondros Lampros. There's a picture of her here and I recognize her. Funeral services will be held on Thursday, January the 25th at 11:30 a.m. in the Saints Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Church, with the Reverend Father Alexander M. Papagikos officiating. Burials will follow in Lafayette Memorial Park on Ramsey Street. The family will receive friends of the church on Wednesday, January 24th from 6 until 8 p.m. with a Trisagion service at 6:30. In lieu of flowers, it was Virginia's desire that donations be made in her memory to Stonecroft Ministries, 10561 Barclay, Suite 500, Overland Park, Kansas, 66212. His Outreach Worldwide, 2770 Breezewood Avenue, Fayetteville, 28303. International Orthodox Christian Charities, IOCC, P.O. Box 17398, Baltimore, Maryland, 21297, or a charity or cause of one's choice, and arrangements are by Jerningham Warren Funeral Home. And from Fayetteville, Mr. Leslie Locklear, age 73, passed away Friday, January 19th in Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. Services will be held at a later date, and arrangements for the family are entrusted to Lafayette Funeral Home.
Okay, we have
I got the first two columns, and you can have that long one and that little one.
Okay. Lake.
What's that?
Lake, age 72, of 6871. Baystone Road, Fayetteville, North Carolina, departed this life on Monday, January 15, 2018. There will be a viewing Wednesday, January 24th, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Family will receive friends from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Wise Mortuary Chapel. Lola G. Giddings.
Oh, mercy.
Miss Lola Grace Giddings, 87, went to be with her Lord on Sunday, January 21st, 2018, surrounded by her family. A funeral service will be held Thursday, January 25th, 2018, at Jerningham Warren Funeral Home at 2 p.m. Interment will follow at Lafayette Memorial Park. The family will receive friends and family Wednesday, January 24th, 2018, from 6 to 8 p.m. at Jerningham Warren Funeral Home. Arrangements by Jurgen Warren Funeral Home. Lawrence Joseph Dyson, Spring Lake. Retired U.S. Army SFC Lawrence Joseph Dyson, Sr., 77 of Spring Lake, died Sunday, January 21st, 2018. Funeral Thursday, 11 a.m., Adcock Funeral Home Chapel. Visitation, ADOC Funeral Home and Crematory. Wednesday, 6 p.m., 8 p.m. Burial, Sand Hills State Veterans Cemetery, Fort Bragg, with military honors. Ad hoc Funeral Home and Crematory. Jason Aldine Hodges, Fayetteville. Jason Aldine Hodges, 73, of Fayetteville, died Wednesday, January 17th, 2018. Funeral Tuesday, 10 a.m., Sand Hills State Veterans Cemetery. Visitation, Colvin Funeral Home Chapel, Monday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Burial, Sand Hills State Veterans Cemetery, Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. Dolores K. Cook, Fayetteville, 83, died Tuesday, January 16th, 2018. Funeral Thursday, 11 a.m., Lewis Chapel Baptist Church, Colvin Funeral Home and Cremation.
Well, I just found some more down underneath some more stuff.
Bless your heart.
Yeah. So, I've got a few and you can have 4 more. You want to read them now, you can, and I'll read these then. It's up to you.
Okay, I'll read them now. Kathleen Harvell Jackson. Kathleen Harvell Jackson, 84, of Irwin, died Sunday, January 21st, 2018. Funeral Wednesday, 11 a.m. Cromartie Miller Funeral Home Chapel, Dunn. Visitation, Cromartie Miller Funeral Home, Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Burial, Irwin Memorial Park. James Rudolph Taylor. James Rudolph Taylor, 86, of Carthage, died Tuesday, January 16, 2018. Funeral Friday, 2 p.m. John Hall Presbyterian Church, Carthage. Viewing at the church, Friday, noon to 2 p.m. Burial, Church Cemetery, Pugh and Smith Funeral Home, Carthage. Zethra Johnson. Zethra Johnson, 95, of Lumberton, died Sunday, January 21st, 2018. Funeral Thursday, 3 p.m. Floyd Memorial Chapel, Lumberton. Visitation prior to the funeral Thursday, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Burial, Gardens of Faith Cemetery, Lumberton. Christine Ray, 75, of Aberdeen, died Saturday, January 20th, 2018. Funeral Thursday, 2 p.m. End Time Harvest and Deliverance Ministries, Carthage. Viewing at the church Thursday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Pugh and Smith Funeral Home, Carthage.
Okay, here's some more. From Harolds, Bernard Barney James Fergus of Harolds, originally of Virginia, died January the 21st at the age of 73. The family will receive friends on Saturday, January 27th at 1 p.m. at Bladen Gaskin's Funeral Home. Memorial service will follow the visitation at 2 p.m. In lieu of flowers, memorials may be made to the family, and Bladen Gaskin's Funeral Home for assistance as is using, well, try again, Tina. Bladen Gaskin's Funeral Home for assistance with funeral services or a shelter friend. This doesn't make any sense, okay? But out of this, I'm assuming that Bladen Gaskins is the funeral home if you need any questions, and they're taking care of the funeral. And if you would like to donate, you can donate, I think that's what this means, to a shelter friend, P.O. Box 2983, Elizabethtown, 28337. But I'd call the funeral home if I was you to get that straight, because that's confusing. From Wagram, Paul Judson Smith Jr., 86, of Wagram, died Sunday, January the 21st. The memorial is Wednesday at 11 a.m., Spring Hill Baptist Church. Visitation prior to the service at the church on Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., and burial will be a private interment at a later date. Richard Bowles funeral service in charge. From Holly Springs, Joe Andrew Cade of Holly Springs died Monday, January the 22nd. Funeral Wednesday at 1 p.m., Piney Grove Baptist Church, Fuquay, Verino. Visitation will be at the church on Wednesday from noon to 1, and burial will be in Mont Lawn Memorial Park, Raleigh. Oakland Peoples Phillips Funeral Home and Crematory in Lillington in charge. And from Clinton, Alma Doris Strickland, 84, formerly of Sampson County, died Saturday, January the 20th. The funeral is going to be on Wednesday at 2 o'clock, Crumpler Honeycutt Funeral Home, and visitation Crumpler Honeycutt Funeral Home Wednesday, 1 to 2 p.m., burial Plainview PFW Baptist Church Cemetery in Clinton. And the last one today is from Clinton. Bishop James C. Barker Jr., 86 of Clinton, died Monday, January 22nd, and the funeral is on Wednesday at 11 a.m. at Royal Hall Funeral Home Chapel, and the visitation starts 1 hour prior to the service and begins at 10 a.m. Burial will be privately at Grandview Memorial Park, and Royal Hall Funeral Home in Clinton is in charge of the arrangements. So I think that's all of them. Now we've got Billy Graham, I guess, huh?
Yes, we have the spiritual advice from Billy Graham. God wants your spiritual growth to blossom. Question. I know you often tell people they need to go to church, but I had a bad experience with the church I grew up in, and I just can't face trying to find another one. Do I have to go to church in order to be a Christian? Mrs. A. McD. Answer. Only one thing is necessary in God's eyes for us to become a Christian, and that is our personal faith and trust in Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. The Bible says, if you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Romans 10:9. Don't misunderstand me, however. God doesn't want us to stand still in our faith. Instead, God's will is for us to grow stronger in our faith. And one of the most important ways this happens is through our fellowship with other believers. If we remain isolated, we'll never hear God's word preached and taught, and we'll never have an opportunity to serve others in the name of Christ. No wonder the Bible tells us to consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, but encouraging one another. No church is perfect, of course, and I'm sorry you had a bad experience in your childhood church. But don't assume all churches are like this, for they aren't. Begin by making sure of your personal commitment to Jesus Christ. If you have never given yourself to him, invite him to come into your life today. Then ask him to give you a desire to grow in your faith, and then to lead you to a church that's right for you. Remember, God is even more concerned about your spiritual growth than you are. Readers can write to the Reverend Billy Graham at the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, 1 Billy Graham Parkway, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28201, or call 877-2-GRAHAM, GRAHAM. The website for Billy Graham Evangelistic Association is at billygraham.org. Tribune Media Services.
Okay, and here is Dear Abby today. Dear Abby, excuse me, I am a 37-year-old divorced mom of 2. I have recently gotten into relationships with two completely different men. One of them, Steve, has the life I have always wanted, and he says he loves me more than life itself. The other, Rick, I love more than life itself, but sometimes I have the feeling he doesn't love me as much as I do him. If I were to love Steve the way I love Rick, or if Rick were to love me the way Steve does, the decision would be clear. I can see myself making a life with either of them. I risk losing either one as a friend if I pick the other one. They both love my kids and I love theirs. Both want to build a life with me. How do I decide which path to take? Once I choose, how do I not have questions or doubts about what might have been if I had chosen the other? Help! Stuck in a love triangle. Dear Triangle, says Abby, you are no more stuck than you want to be. I know a decision I would make if my choice was between a man who loved me more than life itself and who could give me the life I had always dreamed of, and someone I was crazy about but suspected didn't love me much. But only you can decide what is right for you and your children. I don't think you should marry either man unless you are confident you can do it without second-guessing yourself. Dear Abby, I am 72 years old and I cry a lot. I'm so resentful of my ex-co-workers and my former friends, I can't stand it. I have lost 2 cherished wives, 2 children, and 1 grandchild, while these people still have their first wives and all their children and grandchildren. Why did I have to lose people I loved? I am so full of anger that I no longer believe in God. What am I to do? Do I need therapy? Old and Hateful in Texas. Dear Old and Hateful, you have suffered more than your share of loss, and for that please accept my sympathy. The problem with harboring resentment and anger is that unchecked they feed upon themselves and grow. A therapist could be helpful by giving you a safe place to vent those emotions. It is normal to cry when in emotional pain, but you could also benefit from talking with a grief counselor or joining a grief support group. Your physician may be able to suggest one. Please don't wait. Dear Abby, my child attends private elementary school. The school is trying to discourage gossip, which can lead to teasing and bullying. The way they do it is when a child asks a question about another child, the teacher's answer is, "That's none of your business." Whether I agree with that response is irrelevant, because I feel schools have the right to run themselves the way they deem proper. However, isn't there a nicer way to phrase it? I think I remember hearing years ago something like, "Please tend to your own affairs," and it's signed Clamping Down on Gossip. And Abby says, "Dear Clamping Down, I agree that whoever wrote the script for those educators was less than tactful. A better way to phrase it would be, you do you and stop worrying about other people," which might be less harsh.
Okay, horoscope. Tell you a little bit about what's going to happen, or what we think is going to happen. Born today, you are able to connect with other people on many levels, and a day is considered a disappointment if it doesn't afford you numerous opportunities to do so. You thrive on interaction of all kinds, though you prefer to connect on the deepest possible level. Aquarius, January 20th, February 18th. You can give those under your care something very special today, and the powers that be appreciate that you are providing something original. Pisces, February 19th, March 20th. You are working toward a result today, but you may be surprised to learn that your influence is not felt by everyone at this time. Aries, March 21st, April 19th. That which is good for someone else isn't necessarily good for you, and vice versa. To each his own today, and tomorrow too. Taurus, April 20th, May 20th. What you do today is going to have lasting repercussions. You must be sure that you're not surprising anyone with any last-minute plans or ideas. Gemini, May 21st, June 20th. Your financial situation may be the cause of some stress today, but you can solve the most immediate problem by doing what others tell you to do. Cancer, June 21st to July 22nd. It's time to get an expert opinion on a problem you've been stubbornly facing for quite some time. This is above your pay scale. Leo, July 23rd to August 22nd. You've come up with some strange explanations for your behavior before, but today's are likely to take the cake. Come down to earth. Virgo, August 23rd, September 22nd. You may be asked to help out in a situation that is foreign to you, but you can learn quickly and provide some valuable support. Libra, September 23rd to October 22nd. Take a look into the future and you'll realize you've been working toward a certain but heretofore unknown goal for some time. Scorpio, October 23rd, November 21st. You needn't fear anything that happens today as a result of your efforts. It's another's doings that may throw a wrench in the works. Sagittarius, November 22nd to December 21st. You know that something quite unusual is going on, but you cannot name it, nor can you do anything to stop it just yet. Capricorn, December 22nd, January 19th. You mustn't let yourself be pulled off track today by anyone who believes his or her work is more important than yours. Wise words today.
Okay. Letters to the editor. There's only one. About Those Holes is the title of it. I was interested in Matt Leclerc's moral dilemma as written in his January the 14th perspective column, You Can't Put That in Print, or Can You? He concluded that he couldn't in good faith print the vulgar, language that President Trump used in a closed session on immigration and leaked by the Democrat attendee. Is that rain? I hear rain or something. He certainly brought attention to the coarseness of our President of the United States. True to his word, he ensured that all articles, AP and Reuters, were edited to S*** holes when printed in the Sunday edition of the Observer. Then on Monday, January the 15th, I found 2 articles that spelled out the word S*** holes in the Observer. As a result, I wonder if his moral dilemma was to just draw attention to Trump's comment, or if it really was an attempt to write around it. I guess we'll find out when you read this letter to the Observer page with either the printing of the actual words or edited to reflect on the S*** holes. That was written by S.L. Stetson, who lives in Pinehurst.
Okay. This is a little long.
Okay, what is it?
But it's what you can do to prevent getting sick.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I think that's appropriate.
Me too.
Coughing, sneezing, and misery are a part of many households these days as cold and flu season kicks into high gear. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say we are in the midst of a very active flu season in much of the country, and that the flu is widespread and intense. It's no fun to live with someone who is sick. You feel sorry for them and care for them the best you can, but in no way do you want what they have. We spoke to Carolyn Forte, Director of the Good Housekeeping Home Appliances, Cleaning Products, and Textiles Lab, about simple things you can do to try to prevent the spread of germs. First, wash your hands often. Forte says this is the single most important thing to do to prevent the spread of germs. Soap up between your fingers and don't forget your thumbs, she advises. Scrub for about 20 seconds. You can use any soap, but she prefers a liquid pump bottle. You don't have that gooey bar in a soap dish. You can even touch the pump with your elbow to get the soap out. She's also a fan of touch-free automatic liquid soap dispensers, such as Simple Human Sensor Pump or Lysol No Touch. Isolate toothbrushes. Once a household member has a cold, it's best to separate their toothbrush from the rest of the pack to avoid germ contamination. After the person gets well, replace the toothbrush or toothbrush head with a new one. Launder bedding frequently. The best thing is to put the sick person in a separate room to sleep, preventing the spread of germs as well as preserving your precious sleep. If you must share the same bed, wash your sheets frequently in hot water. It even helps to wash just the pillowcases every few days. Forte says, bath towels should be washed every day or two. Consider disposables. Paper towels and paper cups can be your friends when germs are an issue. Give the sick person a roll of paper towels to use when washing hands in the bathroom instead of using a communal towel. There is usually a lot of water drinking and pill taking, so instead of having to wash glasses in hot water, switch to paper for the duration of the illness. If you are washing the sick individual's plates or flatware in your dishwasher, select a sanitizing cycle if that is an option on your model, as it bumps up the temperature of the final rinse. Clean your humidifier. Humidifiers help smooth sinuses and nasal passages, especially when you have coughing and chest congestion. They're also great for your furniture and wood floors. But if you are using your humidifier daily to make your patient feel better, you should empty the tank daily and then wipe it down until it's dry. Clean it thoroughly at least weekly, following the directions provided for your particular model. You don't want germs breeding in there and spewing out into the room, Forte says. Keep the remotes wiped off. Flu sufferers are likely to spend long hours on the couch, sniffling and feeling sorry for themselves, clicking through Netflix and HBO offerings. So all those remotes will be covered in germs. Keep a container of antibacterial wipes around so you can clean the remotes daily. Clean light switches and doorknobs with them too. Put a small wastebasket in the TV room with a plastic liner for the wet tissues and used wipes, and empty it once or twice a day. Good advice. Oh, neat. This is the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service, a United Way partner agency. We broadcast from the campus of Fayetteville State University, and our signal is carried by WUNC Chapel Hill. As a nonprofit agency, we rely on public donations. We request your support to continue our services. While making charitable donations, please keep the Southeastern North Carolina Radio Reading Service in mind. Our post office box number is 35029, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. If you have any questions or comments, please call us at 910-672-1600 or our toll-free number 1-844-709-5656. Your radio hosts are
Tina Beatty
and Linda Miller. As always, we are proud to serve you today.
Okay, here is Kathleen Parker's column. Hers are usually pretty good. If the name Taylor Wyeth, that's Weyeneth, rings a tiny bell in your head, then you might be related to him. Otherwise, the 24-year-old was until a week ago an unknown if powerful member of the Trump administration. He was Deputy Chief of Staff in the Office of National Drug Control Policy. YNF's qualifications for the job, which falls under the executive branch and spends hundreds of millions to fight illegal drugs and manage the opioid crisis, are essentially nil. As reported in the Washington Post, he did lose a relative to a heroin overdose and was very moved, making him uniquely qualified for no job whatsoever. His professional experience consisted of working on Donald Trump's presidential campaign and before that working for a family firm that processed health products such as chia seeds, which is a spiffy resume item if you're aiming to make smoothies at Whole Foods. YNF's alarming lack of qualifications raises a number of questions. Principally, what in the world were they thinking? Didn't the president not long ago declare the opioid crisis a public health emergency? Who put YNF there and why? Would have come through the office of presidential personnel run by John DeStefano, a former staffer and policy advisor to former House Speaker John Boehner. DeStefano is in charge of screening job applicants and interviewing potential ambassadors and cabinet secretaries. He is the arbiter of loyalty among possible hires, and I'm the person who's vouching for them to the President of the United Trump Club. It is broadly understood that one either doesn't last long or that last month. One hears dozens of stories of similarly shabby treatment. The only survivors in this reality show are those who apparently have a failing economic system, said Winnie Bionema, Oxfam International's executive director. The people who make our clothes, assemble our phones, and grow our food are being exploited to ensure a steady supply of cheap goods and swell the profits of corporations and billionaire investors. If that isn't the truth, I don't know what is. In its report, Forum said that without action, the populist and nationalist tides around the world will only become more acute. We've seen a shift in narrative in terms of what people say, but we haven't seen action to match those words, said Nick Breyer, Oxfam's Davos campaign manager. Governments, he said, need to get back into the driving seat and challenge the big corporations and the billionaires. There's plenty they can do, he said, while conceding the efforts of our global elite. People are realizing that shocks are fueled by inequalities, he said.
Aren't likely to come until next week at the earliest, and they would likely
arrived in Indonesia on Monday, where he'll spend 2 days before visiting Hanoi for talks with senior government and military leaders. By coincidence, Mattis will be in Vietnam just days before the 50th anniversary of the Communist Offensive on January the 30th through the 31st of 1968, when North Vietnam attacked an array of key objectives in the south, including the city of Hue, a former imperial capital and cultural icon on the Perfume River. I thought that was very interesting that they had a river called the Perfume River. Yeah. At the time, Mattis was a senior at Columbia High School in Richmond, Washington. The following year, he joined the Marine Corps Reserves. The Tet offensive a more assertive position in the South China Sea. The Trump administration sees Vietnam as a partner in opposing China's assertion of territorial integrity. Mattis said he didn't expect the war to come up in his talks in Vietnam. That largely has been made a matter of the past, he said aboard his flight to Asia. Despite the 1995, it took another 2 decades before Washington fully lifted a ban on selling deadly weapons to Vietnam. The Vietnamese have largely embraced the new partnership as they've sought to diversify diplomatic and security relations in the region, fearing Chinese primacy. Vietnam fought a border war with China in 1979 and bitterness runs deep. Yes, I bet it does. No. Okay, what time is 53? Well, I'm a bit early to be doing the television schedule.
What time do
You got something that'll take a minute? No!
No.
2 minutes!
everything looks long?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
How much time do we have? What time we close out? 12?
Yeah. I'll start on the television schedule and see how far I can get, okay? Because I have to do the closing too. Well, television seems to have improved, guys. At least they've got new shows on now. And we're not, well, that's a lie, Tina. A lot of these are reruns, apparently. Okay, ABC, 8 o'clock The Middle, 8:30 Fresh Off the Boat, 9 o'clock Blackish, 9:30 Modern Family, and 10 o'clock Match Game. Now, whether any of those are new or not, nobody is saying. Okay, and then we have CBS, 8 o'clock, NCIS, that's new, Bull, also new, and NCIS New Orleans, also new. What have we got here? Fox. 8 o'clock, Lethal Weapon, new, LA to Vegas, The Affair, and then the Mick, the Dump, and then the News. Seems like there's something missing. ABC, NBC. We did CBS. What? We don't have NBC here, do we? Let's see if we can find it. Where did it go? You know, they don't mark the paper right anymore. You just play heck trying to... here we go. NBC. Ellen's Game of Games, and that's at 8 o'clock. And it's Dizzy Dash and Tuba Toothpaste, whatever that is. And then college basketball, Duke at Wake Forest. And if you don't want to watch that, on the other NBC station, This Is Us, which is new, and then at 10, Chicago Med, which I love, and that's a new one too. Okay, now PBS, WUNC, we'll meet again at 8 o'clock, and I think that's a new show. And then Frontline at 9 o'clock, stories of refugees and migrants. And then A&E, 8 o'clock, intervention inside the heroin triangle, which is new. And then again at 9, preparing for Tony's intervention, which is also new. And then Undercover High, that's making inroads at high-risk students. That's 10 o'clock. AMC, the movie at 8 o'clock is a 3-star movie called Kill Bill Volume 1, was a 2003 action movie with Uma Thurman and Lucy Liu. And then Kill Bill Volume 2 is on at 10:30 with Uma Thurman, and that's a 3-star movie also. Down we go to the Discovery Channel. Let's see. 8 o'clock, Moonshiners, new. 9 o'clock, Moonshiners, new. 10 o'clock, Tesla's Death Ray, whatever in the world that is, that's new. Okay, let's see if I can't find any more movies anywhere. TBN, 8 o'clock, Praise, that's new. Joseph Prince, right on the money almost. But that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I can't complain at that. Yes, they were long. The articles were. I love the op-ed pieces and the columns because they're so tongue-in-cheek and they're so derisive of Trump, and I love to read them because they're so good. Those people are really right. We went to the movies Saturday night and saw that movie with Meryl Streep about the Washington Post. It's called The Post, and it's about it's right before Watergate. In fact, the very last thing on the screen at the end of the movie was a security guard in the Watergate Hotel saying, "It looks like somebody broke in here." That was the end of that movie. But it was about the Pentagon Papers is what the Post was about. So, and it was good, and the lady that was the publisher of the Post at the time was Catherine Graham, and then the editor of the Post was, I'm going to remember his name in a minute, but it was a really good movie because it was true, you know, and we had previously seen, we all go to the movie sometimes for months and months and months and months on end, and then there'll be 2 or 3 things we'd like to see. You know, like we went to see the movie about Dunkirk. It was called Dunkirk. We went to see that. And then we went to see, what? Another war movie of some kind. I can't remember what it was now, but I like things like that. Mine was brought up on stories of the Second World War because my father was a paratrooper in the British Airborne. And he was also hidden by the Dutch resistance in Holland. They picked him up out of the woods. He was in the woods by himself. And kept him for weeks.
Well, a lot of history.
Yeah, and the government contacted my mother and said that he was missing, presumed dead. She said she used to go to bed every night, think he was dead, and get up every morning and think, well, maybe he's POW or you know, whatever. And then finally, she got a telegram after many weeks that said, your husband is safe and with friends. See, it took a long time to get information back from Holland all the way to England and all the right people. So anyway, he was safe. The Dutch saved him. Wonderful people, the Dutch. He kept in touch with those people for years. And one time he went to Holland to see them because they were getting old. The old man was, you know, really old, and so Dad went to Holland so he could see him. I don't know how they communicated because my dad don't speak Dutch, but I suspect that they probably spoke some English because so many Europeans speak English and we're so lacking.
Yeah, and we go over there.
Yeah.
My daughter took me to Paris.
Did she?
Yeah, and I said, you know, I don't know. We and parlez-vous français.
Yeah, yeah, right.
But they managed to have someone there. I guess because so many Americans come not knowing the language. They always have someone there, and they say, wait a minute, and they go get someone.
But that's nice though. But I lived in Germany for 4 years, and I didn't speak much German either. I learned how to order something in the store and how to order a cup of coffee, but you don't learn enough really. And the Germans are not real friendly with Americans.
Well, where were you? What part of Germany?
We were at Rhine-Main because my husband was in the Air Force.
Yeah, well, we were in K-Town, Kaiserslautern.
Well, yeah, I know where that is.
My dad got killed on the Autobahn.
Did he really?
Yeah, he taking some shoots on him. They say he fell asleep at the wheel.
Oh, how awful.
Yeah, I was about 5 years old, so we had to come back.
Oh.
Yeah.
But they're not known for being really friendly to Americans. No.
Right.
And it didn't matter that I was English, I didn't faze them one iota. We weren't German, you know, so tough. But they were, and you had to, I'm used to being English, queuing up in line for what, you know, for what you want.
Yeah.
They just push right to the front of the line. They just walk right in front of you. It was so rude. See you next week.
See you, take care.
You too.
Hey.